Hello, everyone. I'm Heather.
And I'm Shawn, the book maniac.
And this is the Soggy Expat.
Book maniac tag. Welcome. We are doing this by Zoom. It's an original tag that we have co-created. I'm dialing in from Tokyo. And where the hell are you, Heather?
Wales.
Yeah.
Cardiff.
Heather is one of the most fabulous booktubers out there, and you need to go check out her channel because she's fabulous.
Oh, same, babes. You're just flattering.
I'm flattering. We came up with an original tag, which is mostly just goofy conversational tags, and we decided to name it after a hybrid of our channel names, and we do have prompts to go with those 4 words from her 2 channel names, and the rest of them are just kind of random stuff, and Heather's going to get us started.
Okay, right. Soggy. I know this seems like no big deal, okay, but it's a huge deal for me. It tells me your whole personality, your answer to this question, okay? First question, cold, soggy fries, yay or nay, okay? Like you've got the fries, you've got the hot meal, okay? You've eaten your fill, and there's leftovers. You push them to the side, you're full now, you don't want that anymore. You go out, you go drinking, you have a nice time, you come home. Those fries, bin or face? That's the question I'm looking for, okay? And for me, it's obviously face. You know, there's no bad fries. Like, I will also dip that in literally anything. A milkshake, you know, mayonnaise, ketchup, curry sauce, leftover spaghetti. That is all fair game as a soggy fries menu. But you, babe, like what? Soggy fries, yeah or nay?
I think if I'm really hungover, that would actually sounds appealing. But otherwise, no, because I don't let fries go cold. I wolf them down. I inhale them. So
okay, this is a whole nother thing. Yeah, definitely. Are you a person who even makes soggy fries exist? You know, that's a whole nother zone. You're right.
Like cold pizza. What the hell? I eat it all before it gets cold.
I feel you on this. Yeah, I can respect that.
But I'm sure that you go to throw the McDonald's bag out the next morning and there's a few fries in the bottom. I probably wouldn't let them go to waste.
Like, there are starving children. Like, why would you throw it away though?
It's a deeply philosophical prompt, and I'm so glad you brought it to BookTube.
Thanks.
The next prompt is Expat. And the question is fairly obvious. Have you ever lived abroad? Would you, Heather?
I have done, yes. I'm an American and I live in Wales. I moved here when I was 22 and I had no idea what it would even entail. But it's been a banger. It's been a good time. Like American Heather, like Heather who's only American, would never have thought just like a liquid lunch in work time would be acceptable. But Welsh Heather feels like, how can you work without it?
There you go. So what does your liquid lunch consist of while we're on the topic?
This is a light sprinkle of vodka, light, and the rest is soda. It hydrates you while you're drinking. It's brilliant, really. It's my go-to drink. And also, it makes it so that it's just a light buzz for emails. Just a light buzz.
Or BookTube tags.
Yeah. What about you? You obviously also.
I am a Canadian living in Tokyo. I've been here for 13 years, and I'm only here for another few more weeks before I move back to Canada. So I'm going to be done with expatriate life.
I know. I saw your book haul. Getting rid of all your stuff.
Yeah, well, look at these shelves. They're empty. Yep, they are empty. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's been a great place. It's a great experience, and I am so ready to be done with. I'm done with Japan. It's not like I'm sick of Japan. I kind of pretend that I'm sick of it. There are some things about living here that drive me crazy. Don't you have those? Like, do you still have culture shock? I don't know how many years you've been in Wales. You will inadvertently be revealing your age if you tell us, because you said how old you were when you got here.
I've been here 11 years, or I guess like 11 or 12, roughly. Yeah, loads. But I still do have like culture shock every once in a while. Yeah. Like usually it's like in a weird place. You're not expecting it. you know, like schools, like with my kid in school. Like she'll sort of say something about school, and I'll be like, "You've done that in school," like that. What about you? Like, what's like a weird thing?
Oh, so much. I'm so, it's also because I've moved into late middle age living here. So I'm a cranky old guy and things just drive me crazy about this. And there's so many things I'm looking forward to not having to deal with. One of my biggest pet peeves, and this is not a pet peeve tag, but so just very briefly, is bicycles on the sidewalk. It drives me fucking crazy.
Oh my God. Do you have a lot of it in Japan on the sidewalk?
Oh, that's where the bicycles all are. They expect you to move, and a dozen people a year get killed in pedestrian bicycle accidents in this country
Oh
because
my
they're
God.
maniacs. So anyway, yes, a
Oh,
lot of, and so many things I'm looking forward to about Canada that I can't get here. Red skinny potatoes,
ooh.
a bunch of other things.
It's gonna be like just like more relaxing too, isn't it? Like
Oh, gosh,
just
yes.
like countryside.
I'm going from the most manic,
Mm.
busiest, largest metropolitan center on Earth to probably
Mm.
one of the quietest and sleepiest.
That'd be amazing.
Forward to that. So yes, expat. What is the next prompt that you have?
Okay, number 3, book. A trip you took or would like to take because of a book or author, or a book or author made you want to see it in person. And I feel like this is me just selfish, really, like trying to get other people's like ideas of where they want to go for books so that I can like write them down. What about you? What have you got?
I didn't think of this one yet. um, I guess the best answer is that I've got literally 3 weeks left in Japan, and I still haven't done a trip that I've wanted to take ever since I came here, which is to walk around all the places mentioned in Haruki Murakami's novel, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, or even Ichikyu Hachion, IQ 84, because both of those are set in Tokyo. And when I read Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, I hadn't ever been to Japan, and to reread it and visit all those places, I never did it, and I know that I won't do it. So my answer is maybe none. But in terms of the future, um, visiting writers' homes and stuff, museums, great. Like Barbara Pym, if there was a Barbara Pym museum in somewhere in the UK, I would love to visit it or something. But
I'm gonna Google it.
I don't think there is, because I would probably know.
You've looked.
But my answer is half-assed.
It's good. It's good. That is good about 1Q84. I did love that one.
Yeah.
And I did like follow their trails from like Google Maps.
Sure. Oh, I love doing that.
I'd love to do that.
I love doing that. I'm doing with the Welsh novel I'm reading right now. What's his name? Richard Owen Roberts. Hello, friend, we missed you.
Oh, yeah.
All of the place names, and it's on the. I finally figured out, because it's not really obvious, or maybe I missed some cues, that it's set on the island of Anglesey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm following all of that, and I'm really having a good time. That's more my thing than actually going and visiting a place, but yeah. I get why some people are really into that.
Oh, Anglesey's lush. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Oh, fab.
So where would you want to go or have gone?
Okay, so I have been stalking these places for quite a while in my life. I think the most recent one is Cornwall, to do with like Daphne du Maurier and like my deep obsession with her and everything to do with her. I forced my whole family to go there. Like they were like, "What's in Cornwall for us to do?" And I was like, "Stop talking, come."
Now that is fascinating, because I don't have that obsession with her. She's interesting to me, but I'm not obsessed. But I remember there was a little bit about Cornwall in the Wolf Hall, one of the Wolf Hall books by Hilary Mantel. Yeah. Historically, that didn't Henry VIII have to put down a rebellion in Cornwall? And apparently, Cornwall has kind of been a badass part of the British Isles since time immemorial. And I'm really interested in the culture, and I've read other books that have been set there, and so I would come with you to Cornwall.
Oh my God, Cornwall's so amazing. It's so cool. And like their language is related to Welsh. It's like a cousin.
That's
so
right.
As a Welsh speaker, we can like go there and like all the signs and everything are also in Cornish, and it's like mutually intelligible, the two, and it's weird. It's like, why is it like that? It blows your mind.
Cornish game hen. I've had them a couple times in my childhood. I remember my aunt got married in 1976, and that was what was served at the wedding banquet: Cornish game hen in Canada.
Really?
In Canada, but I've never seen it on a menu or had it ever since then. And now, as a gay man, Cornish game, Cornish game hen, Cornish game hen, Cornish game hen. Number 4, another book prompt: a book or writer from Canada and or Wales you'd like to read. For Wales, I'm interested in Welsh literature and am not widely read. Probably the next one that I would like to read is a very newly published anthology of queer writing from Wales.
I think I might have heard of this. I think I follow a couple of like queer bookstores in Cardiff, and I think I might have heard of this.
Queer Square Mile, queer short stories from Wales, and it's edited by Kirsty Bohata.
Oh, yeah, I
Maybe
think I've heard of this one.
maybe some other editors. I can't read the print's too small. And I actually attended the book launch on Zoom the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. What, the authors were there, were they? And they had like a
two
chat.
or three of them were. It actually, the audio quality was so bad that the moderator kept. So many people told him keep the mic by your mouth, but he kept putting it down and he couldn't hear anything. So finally, I just logged off. I didn't finish watching it, but it's 500 pages. Just published. Well, in fact, apparently it doesn't publish until June, according to Goodreads. But I think it's out somewhere. That's mine for Wales. Do you have one for Wales or Canada that you'd like to read?
So I did think of a Canadian one, right? So I'm already sort of quite Margaret Atwood obsessed.
Oh.
I think most people are, in a way. I saw her at Hay Festival, and she was just the crankiest, and I just want to be her. So
you are
I'd
her,
like
Heather. You are her.
Oh, thanks, babes. It's everything I've ever wanted. But like, I'd like to just like completely nail everything of hers. Like, I just want to like go on an odyssey and be like, anything that Margaret Atwood has ever written, I've read it. But then I thought, for BookTube Prize, I've had to read an Omar El Akkad book. I've had to read What Strange Paradise, like, and I'm like on a mute for it. I'm like on a gag, like I'm not allowed to say if I liked it or not.
I've heard good things about it. I really want to read it. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts. What Margaret Atwood would you like most that you haven't yet read? Would you most like to read?
So I think I need to start getting more into her short stories because she's like a short story queen, apparently. And I've not read anything. I've only read her novels. I haven't delved into this. There's like the Stone Mattress one. Do you know that one?
I know the title. I haven't read it.
Yeah, and like there's just loads of like collections that she does, and I've not delved at all. So I think that'll be where I start first.
My favorite Margaret Atwood is Cat's Eye.
Oh, good one. Like, I think weirdly, mine might be like, what's the one with the girl in prison? She's like a 19th century. Alias Grace, is it?
Alias Grace.
Oh, I think that's my favorite. Like, I quite like, her like Mad Adam series. Like, that one hit me quite hard. But I think in the end, Alias Grace is better. It's better.
Well, I'm going to have to give up my passport. You've read more Margaret Atwood than I have.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
My first or second date with a previous lover years ago in the 90s, early 90s, was going to a Margaret Atwood reading. We went together.
Oh my God, I love this story. I've
been to several of her readings over the years. I'm adopted, which is not really that important in the grand scheme of things, other than that my birth mother was best friends with Margaret Atwood's best friend at university. They were not besties, but they shared a bestie, so they were acquaintances. So
this is amazing.
I know. So Margaret Atwood knew my birth mother. So.
But I'm absolutely floored by this information. You have just like gone up 1,000% in like your literary awesomeness. Like you were already quite up here, babes, and then it just, I can't believe it.
Did you want my autograph?
Yes. I've only I've only twatting dropped my pen down this hole. Like,
I think we'll just maybe we'll delete the prompts and just put in all the outtakes.
it just fell down this hole. It just fell down there, and now it's just like fucking stick. Oh, that's annoying. That's my favorite pen. That.
Oh no.
Okay, so number 5 is a random one. Embarrassing parent story time. A time when your parent / guardian embarrassed you, or a time when you actually were that of a parent.
I'm very curious to hear your story.
Do you want to go first? Do you want to answer first?
Should I go first? The best one I have is about my grandma, who was babysitting us when mom and dad were on a 10-day vacation somewhere, and it was me and my sister, and I might have been about 13 or something, 12. My sister was 2 years younger, and I think I had a friend staying over. The elementary school was going on a field trip to the next biggest town, about a 45-minute drive, because the famous Vienna Lipizzaner stallions were on tour through Western Canada. You know about them.
I saw them in Vienna.
Okay, well, they're really famous, and they were on a tour. The Lipizzaner, is that pronunciation right? Lipizzaner?
Lipizzaner?
Lipizzaner, okay, so too bad my grandma didn't know you, because, but anyway, so the night before, grandma cooking us dinner, and we're all chatting over dinner, and she said, "So, are your kids excited about going to see the lesbian stallions?" Favorite memories. And that's why I'm gay.
What? She just messed up the title? She just messed up the title, or she thought they were lesbian horses?
I don't think she thought they were lesbian horses. But I think she got a little mixed up in the pronunciation department.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. Mine.
Yeah.
It may be too horrific to put on the video, or to show anyone to this, okay? It may be too horrific and we can cut it out if potentially, but I feel like I need to say, because it comes up in my mind every time I think about being fully scarred by my dad's embarrassing stuff. So he was in the army, right? He went in the army in 85 or 86, something like this. And he used to say this all the time, he was aware of it. He used to say, there's something to do with the army. You go into the army in a certain year of your life, okay? And then you come out the other side of the army 20, 30 years later, still in that year. So you've got a lot of people walking around in stuff from the 70s, because they went in, say, 77, they've come out, early 2000s, and they, as far as they're concerned, their civvies are still 70s. Do you know what I mean? That they don't know anything else. They haven't moved on. So my dad used to joke about it, but it 100% happened to him as well. He was cemented in 85. He'll never progress beyond this. So I was a kid, and I was just in my house, just chilling with my mates, right? And he's going running, he's really fit. He was in the army, special forces, he's muscly, he runs a lot, and he's in these tiny shorts. I'm like, Dad, damn, okay, those are too small. These shorts, I don't even want to see them anymore, okay? You need to burn them, they're bad. And he was like, oh, it's fine, I'm going running. That's what they do in 85. You wear tiny shorts and you go running, even if you're a dude. So he's just wearing these tiny shorts. I'm like, whatever, you're a mild embarrassment to me, but you feed me, so whatever. So then he starts stretching, right?
Oh.
He starts stretching.
I'm getting scared now.
Me and my friend Christina, okay, just hanging out, minding our own business, watching
hanging
MTV.
out, I think, is the relevant verb here.
One of his nuggets falls out the side, okay? I don't want to talk about it anymore beyond this point, but he's like, oh, my nuggets. And he just popped him back in. And then he went running. I can't even, don't look at me. I think I screamed a bloody murder scream. And my friend Christina, I think she's blocked it from her mind. If I was to ask her about it now, she'd be like, well, I think that her mind erased it for her own sanity. Just, no.
So did you say to your dad, testy, testy, testy?
I don't think I said words. I think it was Christ came into my body and came out as tongues, ah! Like that is my only response to the nugget falling out the sack. That's all I got. That's all I got.
We're not editing that out. That's priceless. Is your dad a reader?
Yeah.
Does he like Balzac?
Probably not, because he's French, but ball sack he's into.
Oh my God. That's fantastic. Okay. Number 6, Maniac. One or two things you are a maniac about, aside from obvs, being a book maniac. How about you, Heather?
So I'm like a maniac about loads of like really nerdy stuff, but at the minute, because it's Eurovision month, I'm hugely intense about the Eurovision. Oh my God, I'm so obsessed. Like, I don't even know what it is. Like, I'd never seen it until I moved to Wales, like 11, 12 years ago, whatever. But ever since then, it has taken over all of my life and my dreams and my joys. Like, do you know the Eurovision, didn't you? You know the
Sure, I know about it, and it's, but not never followed it very much, but I do know about it, yeah.
Oh my God, it's just the effing greatest thing that's ever been given to man. Like, it's just a bunch of awful singing, like awful outfits, camp outfits. But like the way that each different country chooses to present their campy silliness is just the greatest. It's just the greatest thing. And I start following them from when they start coming out, like January, they start releasing them. Like the UK's one this year is so good. Okay. And it's a shame that like the UK government as a whole has fucked everyone off in Europe by like cutting out of the European Union. So now they hate us and they will never vote us forward. And it's a shame because this guy is awesome. Have you seen him? He's like a TikTok star. At some point, you need to Google him because he looks like Fabio, but with a better beard. Sam Ryder. He's just a glorious man. I want to know what shampoo he uses because it just fluffs.
I can't do that. So
he's so good, and the song so good. Anyway, I'm just Eurovision super fan. Also, they have an American version going at the minute, which is like the American Song Contest or whatever. It's like got Kelly Clarkson and Snoop are hosting it. And like each state is represented, and Washington State's one is effing Alan Stone, who is like the pimp master. If you've never had sex to the dulcet sounds of Alan Stone, have you even had sex?
Well, I will get back to you on that. Now, I'm curious for Eurovision. For the UK, is it only one entrant, or does Scotland get one and Wales get one? And
so huge, argument about this, huge controversy. It's one, just one. They're not allowed to split them up because the EBU, like the European Broadcasting Union, whatever, only one broadcasting thing for each country can be represented. So it's the BBC is the UK's one, and only one of the bits can represent the BBC. But in Junior Eurovision, England fucked off last year or like 2 years ago, whatever. England was like, we're not doing it. And Wales was like, we're going to take the BBC slot. We're literally going to be Wales in Eurovision. And they got really high. Like Wales on their own got to like 3rd in Junior Eurovision. And now it's like a huge controversy. Like, okay, the UK brand is shot because of Brexit. Like you've messed it up by voting for something stupid. Now, is it best? Cut them in chunks and throw them out into the world separately.
Sink or swim. Why not? I'm all in favor of, what is that called? Decentralization.
Yeah. Local government, local Eurovision. Girl.
Free Wales.
Yeah. What about you, babes? What have you got? What's your obsessive thing?
I'm not going to talk about the royal family, but
why not?
I'm really into the royal family, but I'm going to kind of broaden it out. I am a news junkie. Like as much reading as I do in a day, which is several hours a day, I also spend at least that amount of time listening to and reading the news. And I always have.
Does it make you crazy? Does it make you really anxious?
No. although like today, Roe v. Wade is probably going out the door, and I've been all caught up in that, and I've had lots of emotions about it, as I'm sure you have, and everybody has. I mean, it's just fucked.
Yeah.
But
Don't.
I just want to be there and follow every live breaking news. Like I'm just all over it. I always have been. I remember one of my favorite memories of my dad is he's a farmer, small prairie Saskatchewan, and one of my jobs when I was 14 years old was go drive out. I could drive the car. It was illegal, but I would drive out just into the field to pick up dad for dinner, drive back to the house for dinner. And I was listening to the news, and there was this breaking news. And so dad got in the truck and I said, did you hear that Andrew Young resigned? And my father said, this, this Canadian, right? I'm Canadian, Saskatchewan, Canada. This is about 1980, I don't know what it was, 2 or 81 or something. And he said, who's Andrew Young? He was the United Nations, he was the American ambassador to the United Nations.
He was a UN ambassador. Shit.
Prominent Black civil rights activist. And there was a scandal, and I don't remember the scandal, but finally he resigned, and my dad had no idea who he was. So that's how much of a news junkie I have always been. Another thing I'm maniacal about is the news.
Oh, that's really hot. Like, if like something pops, do you like follow it down rabbit holes? Like too much information is not enough, and you've just got to like explore the shit out of it.
Absolutely. And so Twitter's good for that, and so is YouTube. When I'm eating dinner, I'm usually watching if there's nothing good on BookTube. If Heather doesn't have a new video out, I will browse and watch like raw news footage, where they don't condense it. It's the 40-minute tape of a White House press conference or something. And no.
Oh, that's my favorite kind of people nowadays. I get so annoyed by people who think they're informed by memes. I just think like anyone who's willing to just chase that story down to the ground, like that's solid people,
I want it all in granular detail.
So this one is random one. Have you ever been hideously lost? Literally or figuratively?
Well, I won't talk about figurative because we don't have time for that. But literally, yes. And it was about 10 years ago. It was the same year. It was the year of the big earthquake in Japan, which I think was about 10 or 11 years ago. And I was quite traumatized, as was everybody else in the country at that time, by that. And then about a month or so later was at Japan's annual cherry blossom rituals. So the cherry blossoms bloom in early March or mid-March. And then the tradition is, well, I learned it before I came to Japan, as they're starting to, just before they fall, everybody has picnics in the park, gets drunk and has sex. But I've never seen anybody have sex at a cherry blossom party.
That's a shame.
Japanese, it is a shame. And I tried to change it, but it didn't work out. But I was invited to one. And it was the same month or the same year of the big earthquake. And I didn't know any of the people except for the 2 people that invited me. And there was about 40 or 50 or maybe even 100 Japanese people. And I was the only white guy. I was the only foreigner. Everybody was so nice to me. And I can, especially 10 years ago, I could drink a lot. I can't drink nearly as much as that now. But I could drink a lot. But I have never been very good at mixing my drinks. And I was offered, I drink whiskey, I drink Japanese sake, I drink beer, I drink wine, I drink absolutely everything going. And it was a Sunday night. I had to work the next day. So I left early. And it was outdoors in the park on a Sunday night. And it was dark, but I knew the way home, I thought. And I think it was maybe a 25-minute walk to my apartment from this park. And it took me, I would say, about 3 hours because I got lost. I didn't know where I was. And even I was too drunk to be able to work the GPS. And I was phoning people and saying, I don't know where I am. Can you help me? Actually, I was going on to gay dating apps and asking random people, where am I? Can you come get me? Oh,
did they respond? Did they say, turn left?
No, they didn't. They were very unhelpful.
Oh my God, I think if somebody like went on Tinder and like talked to one of my mates, like Grant or whatever, while they're in a club, they'd just be like, yeah, turn here on the corner, I'll meet you.
And I finally got halfway home and realized I left my bag. It's all my work stuff and my everything, chargers and you name it. I had everything. I left the bag at the fucking party. So Like it was just a mess. It was just the messiest drunk night of my life, and I got horribly lost. And then the next morning, I overslept. Oh, and I also gave updates on Facebook every 5 minutes. Drunken
Oh
updates.
shit!
I don't know where I am. I love Japan, but I don't know where I am in Japan. Oh my god, so embarrassing. And I missed work the next day. I called in sick because I woke up way too late, and it was a memorable time of being completely and utterly lost.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Like, are people in Japan like better about that though? Like, I think I heard something about like drunkenness is like
it's completely socially acceptable, and
yeah.
the way that Japanese people look after a drunk person, it's really quite special. But it's also, it's Western people are kind of freaked out by it because there's no stigma about being drunk in public or anything like that. So it's been quite lovely for me. You'd fit in here. You'd fit right in, Heather.
I've 100% missed my opportunity. I could have come seeing you in Japan, and now you're going to be gone.
If you're coming, I'll come back and meet you here.
Yes. Okay, it's a date. My one to be lost is also like literally lost. My mate and I were going to go to Bosnia, right? This was like 10, 11 years ago. Like it was like right before I moved here. Like on that trip, I met the guy who became my husband here. And I don't know why we were going to Bosnia. I think because my dad had been there in the war and he said it was beautiful. And I was just obsessed. I was like, I need to go to Bosnia. But at the time, it was quite, like even now, probably quite separated from the Union. It's sort of like a bit hard to get there. It's not on the normal train paths, things like this. So we had to get on a train to Serbia. And then from Serbia, get a bus that would take us to Bosnia. And on the train, there was a Serbian girl who was like, okay, this will be fine, but you have to make sure you get on the blah bus. Say like blah A.
Yes.
Okay. Do not, for any reason in your life, get on like the blah B bus. Because, it will not only take you to the wrong part of town where it'll be nighttime and you won't have any way to get around and you'll be stuck, but also the people in that area, legitimately trauma from the war will hate you. I was like, okay, blah A bus, blah A bus, like we were like, definitely. Stuff happened. We saw a dead body. We were walking around, some guy who said he was from Mexico.
Dead body? Was this during the war?
No, it was just a guy in the train station. Oh, it was just a guy in the train station. I think it was normal. Don't know. But like some stuff happened, right? Random stuff. Like some guy who said he was from Mexico, who I don't think was actually from Mexico, tried to touch up my friend. And it was a whole deal. Okay. So finally we get to the bus station. We're going to get on the bus and we're like, fuck, which was the bad one? We could not, like, she was like, my friend Kathy was like convinced that it was this one. I was convinced that it was this one. In the end, we were just like, toss a coin. Okay. 50-50. We're going to end up in the right spot. And that's all we've got. And you're probably way ahead of me on this. We ended up on the bad one. And like, it was about 3 hours or whatever on this bus with people who hated us and wanted us dead. Not just because they don't like us, but because actual like military war trauma. Okay. Like legitimate reasons to hate us. And like, we were like getting off at stops, like making sure that one of us had a literal foot on the bus. Do you know what I mean? So they couldn't leave us there. My friend wanted to drink from this like natural spring. And I was like, okay, you turn your back. I'll face them. I got you covered like this. Oh my God, just knowing that after that 3 hours was over, we were going to be in this place that we were just going to be lost as F. Like we couldn't meet up with the guy that we'd arranged to meet up with. We'd have no way of getting on a bus. We'd have to we get there. It's the dead of night. It's like midnight. Everyone goes with their family off into their cozy houses or whatever. And we just attempted to find a payphone, but we were stuck in a matrix. We'd go around and be looking around oh, here's an indoor thing. We'd go into a mall. There's nothing there. We'd come out, and then we'd end up back at the bus station. We're like, that's weird. Thought we turned left this time, and it was it was like a parallel universe where everywhere we went ended us back at the bus station. at the end, we did finally end up in the this guy was coming out of his house with his daughter. His dad was a taxi driver, and he lived in like central Sarajevo, like in the part that we wanted to go to. And he lived there, and he had just like come over in his taxi to see his son and his grandkids. And they were coming out of the house, and we obviously looked like, oh, we were very young and blonde and small, and we're gonna die there. You know, like vultures were circling. They're like, that's so weird. Basically, he read it straight away, and he's like, you've ended up in the wrong place, haven't you? And we're like, oh my god. It's like my dad's gonna take you back to Sarajevo. Like, thank God for that guy. Like, he did totally scam us and like charge us 4 times the amount. I ain't even mad at it. I ain't even mad.
Well, and you live to tell the tale.
That's true.
And this is a good segue into number 8, which is another random one, a memorable encounter with a stranger. And I think that you've already got your answer, but I'm sure you have another one. Do you?
You go, and then I'll do my dude. He's worthy.
Your story reminded me, and it's not nearly as scary or whatever as yours, but I did a student work abroad thing in London from Canada when I was 21. And then I had a 1-month Eurail pass in Europe, and I hadn't got nearly, this was like 1986, maybe 87. It was before the wall came down. And I was young, and I was gay, and I was immature. In other words, I was exactly the way I am now. And I didn't take enough money, I didn't save enough money, and I ran out of money in the first week.
Oh, shit.
So then I would just go into grocery, like when I would travel somewhere, I had enough money for hotel, but I didn't have enough money for food. So I would just buy like a can of pate and a loaf of bread, and that's what I would live on.
Okay, as you do.
Oh, but and then I kept meeting people, great young people, and then that were like in Germany. I met a cute young Swedish boy. He was totally straight, and then after we parted company, about a week later, we exchanged contact information, and I phoned him and said, "Can I come stay with you?" So that's how I survived. Went and stayed with him.
Yeah.
Went and stayed with another pair of brothers from Hamburg, and so on. So then I was on my way back to London, and then I'd had about 10 more days in London. There was one more paycheck waiting for me in London. So I would not be poor anymore once I got back to London, but I had to get there, and I was down to my last few dollars. But I had a Euro pass, so my transportation was covered. And then, my last day in Europe, I find out that no, actually you have to pay for the crossing, whatever the channel crossing, the train.
The channel.
That was not included, and I absolutely did not have any money.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm in whatever the city or whatever it was, and I can't remember what country I was in Europe just for that crossing. It must have been France. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, France probably, yeah.
And I was so desperate that I heard somebody speaking English, and I went up, and it was an American woman, and she was very nice, and I explained my situation, and I said, "Can I?" And it was $30. It was like $30 bucks. That's all it was, but I didn't have it.
Yeah.
I said, "Can I please borrow $30 from you, and I'll send it to you as soon as I get back to Canada?" She said, "No, but you should just go to your embassy. Your embassy has to deal with you, so you should go to the Canadian embassy." So she gave me good advice, which I hadn't thought of, and but I mean, that's how desperate I was. I asked a perfect stranger.
Yeah.
$10. And so I went to the Canadian embassy, and they gave me the money, and I could get on the thing and go back, and it's all tickety boo.
I can't believe that. A random kid comes up to me in tears saying he can't get home. He's coming with me. I'm a piece fair. I'm going to give him a sandwich. I can't believe that woman.
Yes. How rude. He's damn American, say. There you go. That's my memorable encounter. Do you have another one to contribute?
Okay, I do. But this is all I could think of. Like in Seattle, I think it was like back home in Seattle. Like maybe about 05, 06, like early 2000s roughly. I think I was in like college or something stupid. I was like late for class. I was late for something. I was like trekking my ass up a hill. Like Seattle's like this. Like there was a fire once, and like in the 19th century, wherever the fuck, and like instead of like clearing that shit away, they were like, shall we just put everything on top of it? It'll be fine. So like all the all the roads go like this. So I was like hauling my ass up one of these hills, like late trying to get somewhere. And like all of Seattle is covered in the summer months at all times by like roving bands of foreigners like this, with like a person in the middle who's got like a stick with like a flag on, you know? And I think this was like probably Japanese, actually, like a Japanese band of people all together, sort of like moving around with like a lady in the middle with like a Japanese flag. She's showing people Seattle.
Everybody's
Hauling
taking
my ass
photos.
up this, like, yeah. I'm like hauling my ass up this hill. This guy, he's like in the way, and I'm like, oh, sorry. And I like go left, and he goes left, and I'm like, oh shit. And I go right, he goes right. We're like doing this awful thing, you know, like dancing in a row. And all of a sudden, I'm like tired of it. It's gone on way too long now. You know, like I stand up all the way. I look him straight in the eyes, and he looks me straight like this. And he's got his camera, and he just goes like this, click. And then he just puts it down. And like, then we just stared at each other. I was like, ah. And then he just walked away.
That's fantastic. I saw that photo.
What? No, Shawn. Oh my god, yeah, watch it's in like some sort of like Tokyo.
It was Kenji. Kenji took the picture.
Maybe like the photo's called Tragedy, and I'm just like sweaty and like crying, like my mascara is like running a bit, and I'm like indignant, like.
Fantastic. I love that. That is a good one. Yeah.
Oh god. Next for me.
It is number 9.
What did you want to be when you grew up? If you've actually achieved that in real life, what's it like to be fantastically stable? Like, because I wouldn't know. Asking for a friend.
So my answer will be short because it's not very interesting. I was such a firebug as a kid. My first dream was to be a fireman.
Really?
And that's it. Yeah, and I grew out of it within about 10 minutes. But that was my first. I wrote a story about it. I drew a picture about it, and I was such a firebug. I almost burned my parents' farm down.
Oh my god! Really?
I'm not a firebug at all now, but I sure was as a kid. I loved lighting fires, and
Yeah.
so
How much of the farm burned before it stopped?
Not so much, but it was just touch and go that it spread. Yeah, it was the we call it the tin. It's not a very imaginative name, but it was the place where we took all the tin cans, and I had to take and we called it the tin can place. Just like my parents had a second farm. There was no houses, but there was granaries and a farmyard, and we called it the other place. So I was as a 8 or 9 year old probably. I was to take the cans up to the tin can place, and I started a fire, and it was dry grass, and it spread, and I ran, and I was scared of my mom, so I ran to my grandma, and I almost gave her, poor grandma, she was about 75 at that time, a heart attack, and she ran out, and then she called mom, and they backed the water truck up and got it down, and boy, I was in trouble. So yes, it could have been worse, but it was scary enough that I was in big trouble. Heather, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Okay, when I was a kid, I legit wanted to be this like FBI agent. Do you know what I mean? But like glamorous and like lethal. Okay, like I had it in my mind, I was just gonna be this effing like hot as F badass, like in the FBI, and I was gonna get all these baddies. I don't know, it lasted forever. I wanted to be that until I was at least high school or middle school, maybe.
And so the second part of this prompt, what's it like to be a fantastically stable adult and realize your dream?
I have no idea. Like I put that in there because I like sometimes I ask my friends, you know, like what did you want to be, you know, and they're like, oh, I wanted to be an accountant, and they are currently an accountant.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see if there's anybody that's going to answer and say a childhood dream, and they actually became that.
I know, like
it's not too late. You're only about 22 or something. You could still become an FBI glam.
Of course. Except for, you know, I'm afraid of the dark, and guns, and police.
The last prompt in this tag, number 10, the last tag is also random. Are you a people watcher? And a related question, do you have good peripheral hearing? Share an anecdote or 3. Take it away.
People watcher, yeah, and peripheral listener. Yeah, I like to do that. It's a good hobby of mine. Like sometimes I like to write them down, like in my notebook, like my like journal or whatever for each year. Probably has like loads of them in because my life isn't exciting enough. I've got to like fill in other people's lives. But I think my best people watching experience was probably with my mate in Belgrade. Like we were just sitting, like waiting for the train or something stupid. We're like eating pastries, just minding our own ass business, right?
Right.
So this car, it just drives up. It's tiny. It's like this big. It's approximately the size of a toy car. It drives up, and about 9,000 huge burly dudes get out. It's like a clown car. It's like Mary Poppins handbag. It's like it just keeps coughing up like enormous, like muscly dudes, and you're like, surely there's no one else in there. And just like pop out another one like that. We're like, holy shit, what's going on here? They're like getting out with urgency, right? They're like being birthed again, popping out of this car. And they're sort of looking around. They see us. They move over. They're not interested in us. They're looking around. They see this skinny dude walking by eating a sandwich, and they're like, that's our dude. They grab his arms, and they're like talking in his ear. They've got his arm like quite tight, like they're not like having a chat with this guy. They're like, got him tight, and they're chatting in his ear. And then now there's two guys. They've like both got him in a clamp, and they're moving him toward the magic car. They push him in the magic car, and then they all get in, and like all of them as well have these like really girly handbags. Like if you think like, yeah, a normal handbag, like over the side like this, like a tiny one, that would just hold your lipstick. Like they've all got one. And I was like telling it to my dad, I was like, basically, we saw a guy get kidnapped by clowns wearing girls' handbags. And he's like, no, babes, that's their gun. Like my dad, he's worldly wise. He knows the shit. That's where they keep their heat. They're packing it in these girls' bags on their backs like this. And they just basically popped out of this car like magic, grabbed this dude that owns the money, pulled him back into the magic space, and sped off.
Oh, your dad is more than just a ball popping pretty face.
He's more than a loose testicle, babe. He's smart. He knows stuff.
Wow, that's an amazing story. I thought about the midway point of this story. I thought this was going to be like a group of drag queens kidnapping pretty boys or something. I wasn't sure.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? If they had dresses on or something and glitter. What about you?
I'm definitely a people watcher, and I stick out like a sore thumb in Japan because it is taboo in Japan. People don't watch people. Like eye contact with strangers is verboten. I don't know why I'm using German words to talk about Japanese culture, but we'll just go with it. And I literally don't care. I don't stare, but I almost stare. And people don't like it. But also because they don't look at anybody, they don't really know that I'm looking at them.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many amazing things. So peripheral hearing is kind of lost on me because I don't understand the language well enough to hear, but I pick up a little bit. But I just to share one or two stories. I remember a lot of these, most of them have been on the train because that's where you're packed like sardines into with a whole bunch of Japanese people. I remember once in the morning on my way to work, two young Japanese women who were not together. They were obviously strangers to one another, and crowded train. Everybody's packed like sardines. And Japanese people socially are the politest people on earth, but in an impersonal setting, they are, I would say, the rudest people on earth. So if there's no social connection, oh my God. So these two young Japanese women, they were back to back. And one of them, her hair was not as long and glorious as yours, but it was, at least shoulder length. And she would just be kind of flicking it, and it would touch the back of the other young woman's head. And so the other young woman started, and then so she would do it more. And I thought they were going to come to blows. It was just this huge altercation. And I was watching, because my face was stuck almost in between their heads, and they were doing all this, and they were, so that's one example. Some of them have been more touching. Like I remember a young Japanese man alone on a train at night. And it was, I don't know whether his girlfriend had dumped him. I have no idea what the situation was, but tears started rolling down his cheeks, and he took off his suit jacket and opened it so that the inner lining was out, and wiped his face off with the inner lining of the jacket, and then put his jacket on and went out about. Then train moved on, and he went home. And it was just like, I can't believe I saw that, but nobody else on the train saw it. But because nobody else looks at anybody else. So the gamut of the things that I've seen in Japan, and I've seen lots of things in Canada too, but everybody stares at everybody there in Canada. But yeah, the two bookend examples of the kinds of things, because I'm definitely a people watcher.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. About like, yeah, in Japan they don't look at each other and they don't stare. They must probably feel like every moment is a private moment because they won't be watched.
That's right.
Shit. Like I was thinking, like when I went to India, it was like the exact opposite of this. Like everyone in India is like very cool with just being very obvious about being all up in your business. Like, so we must basically be the India for Japanese people. Like we're just like,
that's right. That is exactly right. So that is the Soggy Expat book Maniac tag, and we did not. Did you make a list of people to tag?
No.
Okay, so we'll do that after. We are both going to tag a whole bunch of people. Please check the show notes for who we tag. And Heather, what a great collaboration.
That's amazing. That was fab.
What are we going to do tomorrow? I don't know if I have the balls to do another collab with you. Did you see what I did there?